you want income producing tasks and non-income producing tasks, you got to get rid of those non-income producing tasks so you can make more money in your business.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Practical Wealth Show. So we're going to talk about efficiency, how to up your operational efficiency without overwhelm. We're going to talk about how to do more while working less with virtual assistants, okay, is what this episode's about. And I have the Bob Lachance, a nationally recognized speaker, mentor, trainer who specializes in helping his clients build their businesses through automation and outsourcing. All right. He owns 4 businesses, but specifically what we're going to talk about is a company that I am a customer of, called Riva Global, and which is really founded in real estate virtual assistants. But as we talk, you'll see they do more than that, because I figured that out. So I have 2 of them that work with Practical Wealth. And so if y'all are my clients, y'all talk to them. All right. And so Bob is, he had a background. So we have a similar background. I played basketball at Gordon College up in Boston. Okay. So you have a background in New England, playing hockey. So you played at BU, Boston University, which I used to go down and party at. And he was a vital role in their 1995 national championship team in hockey. He left after 2 classes left to graduate. I get this completely. His senior year, and left to his school to pursue a professional hockey career. He played 4 years. And then from that, I want him to tell you how he founded his companies and found his way into what he's doing. Bob, welcome to the Practical Wealth Show.
Curtis, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. So tell him what I didn't tell him, and let's help these people make more money in less time.
I like that. So where do I want to start? I mean, I've you and I probably met up and partied a little bit in Boston back in the day, but yeah. So I went to Boston University. I know you talked a little bit about it. I went there for 4 years, and I left 2 classes short getting my degree, which is another story for another day. But signed a professional contract with St. Louis Blues. Played 4 years here in their minor league system, 4 years in the United States, and then I went to Europe for another 4 years, and then transitioned at that point. Unfortunately, we all know, if we're not going to make the top league in the world, it's time to hang up the skates, hang up the shoes, whatever you got to hang up, and get into the real world.
Which is a hard thing, because I realized my junior year in high school, the NBA was not looking for 5'11" guards, right?
That's a bit. So yeah, we have a realization. We all come to that point of decision, if you will. So mine was coming to the end. I had a family at home. I was living there by myself, and then it was just a decision of, do I keep playing forever, bring my family over there, et cetera, et cetera. So I decided to jump into an industry that had 0 barriers of entry. It was either go back and get my degree, 2 classes, or jump into an industry where, again, nobody cares about a resume. No one cares about, any licenses, et cetera, et cetera. So I didn't want to go back to school. So I decided to jump into real estate. And then I just, from there, this was back in 2004. So that's when I retired. And then jumped into real estate investing, then helped start some real estate education programs. Lent money, flip properties, buy and holds, all that kind of good stuff. And then 2013, I was helped start the real estate education company. And then a light bulb went on. I was always looking for ways that our students could get their tasks done, because a lot of them were either working part-time or full-time. I mean, this is a lot of stuff you talk about on delegating and et cetera. And I was always looking for a product or a service, and there was nothing out there, because when I would get on a coaching call, I would talk to my student, even though I was, still running my real estate investment company. I was talking to students. I'd give them action items, homework assignments, let's say this week, and I would get on another call next week. And about 80+% of the individuals I was working with didn't have time to actually implement what I was telling them that they need to be successful. And then finally in 2013, I learned what a virtual assistant was. And I had no idea. I mean, now think about this. We're all more kind of open and aware of what someone not working in your office is, right? So that's, in essence, a virtual assistant could be in the United States all
Right.
of ours are in the Philippines, right? Which I know we will talk about after. But a light bulb went on, and I'm like, all right, let me hire one. So I hired one in 2013, and then 2014, a light bulb went on. I said, you know what? This could be a business because I was talking about I was using them myself, and I know all the students needed it. So what I did is I married the real estate education side of it that I helped create
Hmm.
into a business over here. So I was training all the virtual assistants on the task I was doing in my business. And then, it started from there and tested it. And now we're not only in real estate, like you said, we're in other businesses like financial planning, medical, marketing, etc. There's a lot of different businesses that do that. And I also have a real estate investment company as well. I know we talked a little bit about that,
Hmm.
but that's a little bit about myself and where I am today.
That's cool. So let me segue on a piece of that where I have a few thoughts, a few questions I want to bring out
Yep.
for my listeners. So how can because it's really about like there's only so many hours in a day, right?
Yep.
That you can do. And it's really a lot of the stuff that people are doing they shouldn't be doing, right?
Mhm.
So how can having a trained virtual assistant, how do you find that your clients are or how does it save you time and help you grow at the same time?
Yeah,
Because I've
absolutely.
experienced that, but I want to hear how you think about it from a
Yeah, so first and foremost, and I know we chatted about this a lot, and it's really a lot of people say, all right, I know I need help, but what do I do first?
Mhm.
Right? They raise their hand, they say, I know I need a personal assistant. I know I need someone to help with marketing. I know I need someone to help with maybe calling clients, right? Customer service, etc. There's a lot of different tasks that we do. The first thing I would do is kind of break your business down into chunks. Like we
Okay.
talked about for you, we talked about looking at your sales process, right?
Right.
And identifying all of those things. I would first like to break it down, I'd grab my phone and I
Right.
look at all the tasks that I do on a weekly basis.
Mhm.
And you'll realize and start categorizing them into non income producing tasks and income producing tasks. Because if I'm you, I want to be on the phone all the time talking to someone that could be a potential client or talking to clients to give them, the right financial advice for future right strategies, investments, etc. But
Right.
all of those tasks prior to that, I'm sure there's a lot of wasted time there that you can outsource also on the service side. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
you gotta think about it. I remember I was, so shout out Bill Walsh. I went through a Rainmaker, program, the same program called Rainmaker, and he
Hmm.
said, "Listen, if you wanna make $1,000,000," he said, "Think about it like this, that's $500 an hour, right? So anything you put your hand on that ain't worth $500 an hour, because if you don't have an assistant, you are an assistant. So
Yep.
you've got to learn. You got to what should you be doing, which is maybe two or three things, and what should you delegate?
Hmm.
And I think and so the hardest work for me was it took about a month just to think through that.
Yeah.
Did I have? So here's my fear: did I have enough work?
That's
Did I
right.
trust them? Like I had a person who wasn't very good, so I would never give her more than about 8 hours worth a week because I didn't think she could do it. She
Yep.
was here, right? And then I realized, okay, like when I tell you one of the first things I did, Bob, because I had been doing up until COVID, I was doing live workshops every month. So I
Yep.
had stacks and stacks and stacks of unconverted leads.
Hmm.
I saw a bunch of them, was a bunch of them that said they wanted to call me, but or refer us lists of referrals I didn't have time to call. So I kind of taught them, gave them the scripts on what to say, how I would say it, and now they're better at it than me.
Yep.
And then that literally I went from, maybe seeing 6 people a week to having 6, 7 people a day every day for like 4 months, and it
Yeah.
kind of exploded my business.
So,
So
so to add to that, it'd be a perfect example. You doing workshops. Someone else listens to this doing workshops. You could have a QR code hypothetically, right? And it
mhm,
goes right into a spreadsheet. You could go right into a Google spreadsheet. Doesn't matter.
right,
Right now, you have all of those potential lists of candidates, and then you have your virtual assistant. Them call them with the script you give them to pre-screen them to see if they potentially could be a candidate either today or tomorrow. You could also put them in connect with them on social media. So then every time one of these episodes comes out, right, then they're on your list. So then you send them videos. You keep them in your pipeline. You keep them warm. So that's another example of exactly what you're talking about. An easy way to use a virtual assistant where You set it and forget it. You don't have to do anything. Just have them set appointments for you. That'd be a perfect
That
example for you.
listen, I haven't been to so the social media thing, we're not doing that. I mean, that's going on my list right now.
Yep.
So connect them to social media. But that see, y'all gotta think. See, because one of the things, Bob, that I teach people is that where I'm different than most people in the financial space, I don't believe your number one investment, your number one asset or is you, right? But your number one
Mhm.
investment is your business.
Yep.
And so I rather than giving your money to some fund manager you never met, I found just investing in personnel, in
Mhm.
operations, which this is, that's grown my business way more than some mutual fund.
Yep, 100%. Because I mean,
And
think about this. Just along those lines, if you're looking at taking that money and reinvesting in your business, you could grow your business exponentially. And I talk about this a lot. If you're a solopreneur, I don't believe like working by yourself nowadays, you're capped.
yeah,
We have to add individuals around us. Virtual assistant being one of them. Working with you, working with some of your clients, right? Collectively, we could help each other, and it grows our pie.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And what are the tasks? We talked about a couple of them, but as you've worked even for yourself, and so I work with a lot of real estate investors. So I want to
Yep.
speak to that with business. I work with a lot of real, and the person that referred me to you was a real estate investor.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first went to the site, I was like, well, this talks about real estate investors. How can it help me? I'm in the financial space, but I saw a video testimonial of somebody I knew that did what
Yep.
I did. And I called him, right? What do you do? Dude, he's like, dude, this is the best money you ever spent. Don't even think about it. Do it. Okay. All right. I'm coachable. And he was making a little bit more money than me at the time. So I was like, all right. So if your pile is bigger than my pile of money, I'll do what you say.
Yep.
And but what are in thinking through that, what have you found are the best tasks for in business in general, and maybe specifically for a real estate, whether
Yep.
they're a wholesaler or flipper or agent, it's like
Yep.
different levels. You've been throughout the whole industry. How
Yep.
could they use it? Because I want to give them some
Yeah.
tact.
And you know what I look at, and we talked a little bit about this. If we look at our business, if we look at all of our business and kind of chunk it up into departments, I think
Hmm.
that's the best place to start, right? So the first thing that we need to do is we need to brand and market, right? So you have market and branding, and then think about this. If we're doing social media tasks, social media management, our face is out there, right? Our brand is out there. We just keep pushing it out, and we're not doing this because our VA is doing it, right?
Right,
We just talked a little bit about us doing this podcast and you just being done and then sending it over to your VA and they are doing everything that I'm
right,
talking about posting. So that is branding. So what happens at that point on the marketing side is leads have to go somewhere. So you're doing the marketing and branding and those leads come somewhere. We talked a little bit about an idea of you doing, your workshops and getting a QR code. That's part of marketing, but then the leads go somewhere. So who on your team, if you're a solopreneur, who's going to follow up with those leads? Because me, we can't do it as business owners because
right,
we're flat out, right? It's a virtual assistant that can then pick up the phone, call of those individuals following our script to say, hey, if you're looking for, A, B, C, and D, here's a 30-minute consultation. Use Calendly, right? A Calendly appointment's a good kind of tool that you could use,
right,
but the VA is driving them to fill up your calendar, right? So of
right.
course we all block off our sales time as business owners. So
Or
then
you
you got
should.
Mark.
If
Yeah,
you're
you
not
should.
doing that, hint, hint, that's an
Correct.
operational thing you need to fix right now. When are you
Correct.
my dad used to call I grew up in the supermarket business, Bob. My dad used to always say, we
Mhm.
grew up in retail, your store's got to be open. So when is
Yep.
your store open? Even if you're part-time, right?
Yep.
When is your store open? Like, what is the work? Because a lot of people don't know how to work, right?
Yep.
Or what
Correct.
is work? What are revenue generating activities? What should you be do? Because you can literally give yourself more hours in a day. What are the 2, 3 things you should be doing, and what that needs to get done every day? If you're trying to leave your job, what are the I want
Yep.
to talk about some specific stuff that you have. Well, you're doing it now, but they're missing it, right? They don't
Right.
get what work is, and because I didn't even know what skip tracing was, but they were good at it.
Right.
Or they don't
Yep.
mind cold calling. Feelings don't get hurt when they
That's
cold
right.
call for you to find who owns this thing and are these people
Yep.
ready to do whatever. talk about some of that stuff because this is the kind of stuff you're doing. But keep your thought there. You get me
Yeah.
excited. I'm hyped now.
Yeah. So yeah, so you got the marketing and branding side,
Yeah,
right? And then
market
obviously
branding.
those leads come where VAs can then call and set appointments,
Yep.
right? And you have to look at what other tasks in between there that can be offset. There's paperwork involved, there's admin work involved, right? There's if you're doing video content, you could cut up that video and use it as marketing, right? So you go back into marketing, and then after they sign up, what kind of paperwork do you have?
Hmm.
Or do you need? We all have paperwork. That I mean, that is for me, it's the worst. I
Right.
can't stand
Right.
any of that paperwork. So there's stuff paperwork. So in the real estate side, for me, I have marketing, branding, and then there's lead generation. They push the leads over, and I'll give you a quick overview of how I run my real estate company too.
Hmm.
Very simple. I got the marketing and branding. I do podcasts as well. So this podcast is going to be cut up. I'll use it, to for promotion. Same thing you do. Then
Right.
it goes into a funnel, right?
Hmm.
And that funnel, I have all of my virtual assistants call. So now they're calling leads that are interested in real estate or interested in my virtual assistant services.
Right.
But let's stick with real estate so I don't mess anybody up. We got marketing and branding, and then we pull a list. At that point, marketing and branding goes to lead generation. Now, what we do is we pull lists, and you brought up skip tracing. So I'll pull down, for instance, I live in West Hartford, Connecticut. So I'll get let's go prop stream as a service. I'll pull down all of the records in West Hartford, Connecticut, and I'll skip trace them, which means we'll look for the best possible phone number for that record. And then all of my VAs, I have, I think, 8 texters and 8 cold callers.
Wow.
That's what I'm doing today.
Hmm.
So then now they're going to take that whole list and I'll cold call and text them to then create a warm lead. So if someone says, yes, I'm interested to sell, that lead then goes to my sales floor. But if I'm a solopreneur, it'll go to me and then I'll close that deal to make sure that we can buy that property for a certain amount. So that's a perfect example. Then we have all of these leads. So same thing in your business. You could go back probably 5 years and you probably have, I don't know, 5,500 leads in your database. We also have a virtual assistant calling every day those
Hmm.
leads following our script. And then we also have transaction coordinating, we have property management, VAs, etc. But that's just a quick
Wow.
overview of,
Hmm.
getting us thinking of our own business and how, VAs fit within those different departments.
Because within technology, they don't have to be in the same town. You have to
Oh,
expand your vision of what's possible and who's really good at this stuff. Because if I'm like, I'll talk to people that, I want to wholesale, right?
yep,
And
yep,
then their wholesaling is they're putting out bandit signs, they're running into people, and you want to make a living at this thing, but you're competing against people that are literally you got 13 textures, you've got all this stuff,
all
and
right.
because it's a marketing business, right? You got to have people to
Mhm,
find this stuff. You've got to decide if you're going to get on a contract and sell it, you're going to keep it, and then you got to have buyers list to sell it to. So
mhm,
you can't beat a person that has like that, just they have a whole department on lead generation, and you're
mhm,
trying to leave your job and you might talk to 3 people a month.
right.
That's not going to happen, and they don't know that. They don't realize the work, the marketing, the
Mhm,
activity, the lead generation that's involved in that. And I think this helps them because I try to, it's like I hate, my sister calls me a party pooper because they say they want to do something, and I'm like, all right, do you understand the work that's involved to generate the revenue you say you want? I don't know,
yep,
that's party pooper. To me, was that the Alcoholics Anonymous thing that Ben Hardy says all progress begins with the truth.
yep,
so
yeah, right.
so I want you to understand the truth, so you're not like building your ladder up against the wrong wall and something that you don't know how to do. And
Right.
I think this is, so it's offloading those tasks. So you have to think about what needs to get done and what in that process you absolutely have to do. But otherwise,
Mhm,
somebody else can do it. And it's kind of like the E-Myth. You have to spend some time working on seeing the business as a thing outside
yeah,
of you.
10,000-foot overview, right?
Yeah,
Pulling yourself
yeah.
out and seeing how all the business runs. So, like we talked about, just breaking it up into departments first, and then there's stuff that needs to be done in each department. that is non-producing activity, right?
Give me your department.
Non-income
So we
producing
got
activity.
branding and marketing. What would be another department in your
Yeah,
mind?
branding and marketing, and then you have lead generation, right?
Lead
Because branding and
generation.
marketing is one thing. Then you got
Mhm,
lead generation, and then
mhm,
once those leads come in, it goes to your closing department because it's an acquisition department, if you will. So
mhm. Or
then you
sales.
acquire
Call
it.
that sales also?
Sales, yep,
Mhm,
sales. It's called sales acquisition,
mhm.
and then that goes to a disposition. So you have to sell or fulfillment, right? So you
Mhm.
sell it. So in your world, it would be fulfilling, right? Once you have
Right,
that client, what do you do? In the real estate world is you have to sell that property to make money, right?
right.
In your world is how do we fulfill that client? Maybe it's customer service at that point, right? And then once you actually sell that property, right? In the real estate world, then you have to manage it till it's done. So you get an end buyer, but that end buyer also needs to get financing, also needs to work with a title company, attorney, etc. So the steps that need to be taken, and a virtual assistant could manage that part of it until
Really?
there's a check, until there's a
Okay.
check in your pocket. Yeah, because
Huh.
think about this: you're going back and forth. It's all just, hey, did the appraisal get ordered? Hey, did the loan come in? Hey, are they approved? Hey, attorney, are you available at this time to do a closing, etc. So it's all just back and forth with buyers, sellers, attorneys, title companies. So we have a lot of clients that use VAs for as transaction coordinating TC.
Huh. That's fascinating because I think
Yep,
about people like I see it real estate. I was thinking about how my wife could use it, who's an attorney.
yep, yep.
And I can see like a mortgage person, even if you had a mortgage W-2 job, if you're really self-employed, if you're living on commission and you need
Mhm.
to invest in your business to get
Yeah,
yourself out of the minutia so that you can just really be in the Dan not Dan Dean Jackson calls it, and I look at it this way: our business before, during, and after, right?
hmm,
So
yep,
and so in my before unit is attract, capture, nurture, and
hmm,
then during is this or the sales process, and then after is the follow-up. And so if you
yep,
start to separate your business, lead, orchestrating new leads, following
hmm,
up, educate, keep at continuing education or service work was where I have a lot
yep,
of our people do, and we're doing some thinking of campaigns to my because see what people skip is they're always trying to get new people,
hmm.
but they don't view retention as a profit center,
That's a
right?
huge profit center. Yep,
That's a huge profit center. So talk about that. That's that, as your after
yep,
unit as how would you use a VA to, you got a database, which is your number one asset as a
yep,
business. And I don't think people use that as much, and have you
yep.
seen that and what are some best practices for you within that? 'Cause that's what a
Yeah,
lot of people should start. If they've been in business a couple of years, that's might be where you start.
it might be, yeah. So I mean, it's keeping them warm, right?
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
always have to keep the individuals that you work with warm, and you have to make sure that they know you're still around. They know you care about them, right?
Right.
So you have someone on your team reaching out, just a call or a text. Hey, just checking in to see how you guys are doing. Let me know if you need anything. The markets, whatever you're investing, whatever strategy that you're educating your clients on. Just coin it to that because you have their cell phone. It's good. It's always good to be for someone to outreach, you're like, oh yeah, because think about this. If you're on their mind, top of mind gets all the referrals, right?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
and that's why for us, you're a client of ours, so we work together. You just set up an affiliate agreement. You talk about us all the time. There's opportunities there when it's top of mind. You talk to your virtual assistant all the time. You have our client service manager reach out to you on a weekly basis. So those are for us. Those are our touches to you to make sure that you're always thinking about us. We're making sure we're doing a good service. So there's another idea on that side of it.
Yeah.
You touched upon mortgage brokers. I just want to, there's a lot of paperwork. So think about what mortgage brokers go through. Mortgage brokers, their biggest headache is, if they have a client like myself, they got to call me to say, could you get updated W-2s? Could you get updated tax returns? Could you get updated bank statements? All of that stuff. Could you imagine having to do that if you have 50 clients and calling 50 different people and trying to manage it? It's just a headache. So that's a great task for a virtual assistant. Just that kind of like piqued my there was a thought that came to me, so I just want to make sure I touched upon that one.
Yeah, no, it's great because I'm thinking of a couple people that I actually, because when I do these shows, a lot of times I'm in conversation. So I've had this conversation. I'm like, hey, you need to talk to, here's how you could use this. And then, and I'll
Yep.
use it as my library where I can show here's how to get more done with less. And oh, by the way, here's my
Yep.
affiliate link, right? So y'all can go to my use my link.
Yeah,
And,
perfect. That's good.
but that's what. So let me ask you this: what if, let's say I'm hearing this? What should I look for when hiring my first virtual assistant?
Yep.
Talk to
I mean,
that.
I would look for, and I know we touched upon this. Just you should have a pretty good idea of what tasks you want to outsource, because I see that as a challenge.
Hmm.
And I went through this first. I went through the
Hmm.
same exact thing. I was like, you know, how am I going to fill either 20 hours a week or 40 hours a week? Because we offer part-time and full-time virtual assistants. That's it. We
Hmm.
don't do hourly. That's a mess of a business to run. It's very difficult, right?
Hmm.
So because we have a lot of management involved. But what are those tasks that'll fill those 20 hours? What are those tasks that'll fill those 40 hours? If you don't know that example, or if you don't know that answer, I would definitely sign up for one of our strategy sessions. We could definitely help. But I would brainstorm, I would look at it, and I would just start writing things down. It's the
Hmm.
best thing to do is just start identifying and documenting what you do on a daily basis, because that you're going to start thinking and triggering, right? It's going to be thoughts. Listening to your podcast or different types of podcasts that will trigger. Talk to coworkers and say, "Hey, what's your biggest pain point?" And even if it's a coworker and they're doing the same job as you, say, "Hey, what's your biggest pain point?" Don't let them know that you're thinking about getting a VA. Just it's almost like when you send out a survey
Hmm.
and you're surveying everyone and they're giving you the answers, and then you create the product behind it, right?
Right. Right.
Because it's a need out there. That's one way to do it, and I've had success doing that and other things.
I love that. And you talked about this, so I want them to hear it because this is I have people tell me, oh, you should go to Upwork or whatever. I like
Mhm.
your process
Yep.
because tell them how they're managed. So I'll tell you, I'll give you
Yep.
my experience. Because I had to go, I probably met with your people twice because I was still not understand. I had to think through what I
Yep.
needed them to do, right? So, and they helped me kind of think through my process, and then it's still
Mhm.
always a work in progress, right?
Yeah.
And then I said, look, here's what I need them to do. These are smart people. Mostly I have women, so smart women,
Yep.
degrees, disc tests, resumes that they're vetting for me and give me 2 or 3 people to interview, right?
Yep.
And so how do you manage that and ensure quality control? Tell them about that,
Yeah.
'cause that's
Excellent.
fascinating.
Yeah, so I tried Upwork. That's the reason why I started my company, because
Mhm.
I had to go through, I think it was about 100 applications to hire somebody, and then after the first week they quit, and I'm like, I threw my I threw my
Right,
pen up,
right.
and I'm like,
I knew I
I
didn't wanna do that, right?
I just went through hours and hours and hours, like probably 20 hours of sifting through resumes, because hiring people, I hate it. Even in our own businesses, it's just
Yeah.
very difficult. So what I did is I created a whole recruiting and sourcing team in the Philippines. So all my
Mhm.
virtual assistants are in the Philippines. So I have so we do branding, marketing over there to drive in the applicants. This is how I break it up: sourcing and recruiting. So then our sourcing and recruiting team looks through all the applications and does interviews, and then does disc profiling. We also do predictive index. So if you have you got to look at exactly what profiles they would fit, because not every person fits certain tasks. Like if you want a bookkeeper, right? You're not going to get somebody who doesn't have attention to detail, as an example, right? So we
Right.
talk. I know that's one of the tasks that you trained your VA on, and getting QuickBooks certified, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
which is a great task to outsource.
Right.
So we have sourcing, recruiting, and then as soon as they pass through all of the hoops that they jump through, then they get to our training. So we have about a month training. So they pass through here, and we have scorecards that we rate everybody on, all the way from, accent to capacity to different types of efficiencies that we have in place. And then once they go through training, if they make it through, they get another test and another scorecard. So then we rate them when they come out of training, and then it goes to our placements team. That applicant then goes to our placements team. And our placements team, it's kind of like match.com, where they match up the perfect profile for the tasks that you want, because that's really, really important. That's what we're talking about. That's where you excel. That's how you got to pick the best. You wanted to listen to accent. You wanted to listen to different types of capacity, different types of checklists that you had in your business that you wanted. So
Right.
that's where our placements team came in. And then as soon as you pick a VA, it goes to our operations team. So our operations team, then we have a manager that manages you and the virtual assistant. So if you have any questions at all, you could either, go to your VA or go right to the manager as well with different types of things.
See, I love that layer because I've had, where illness occur,
Hmm.
where they had to be out a couple of weeks, to a couple of
Hmm.
3 weeks, and you found me, you knew my criteria. We had already created an operations manual, so they knew the task I
Hmm.
wanted done. They found me 2 or 3 other people to hire temporarily
Yep.
to do that, and the other girl was good too. I just didn't need 3 because I wanted to keep
Yes.
her. So, and
Yeah.
then because the first time I got my second person and I had her part-time, I said, look, I don't want her to lose her anybody else. So I brought her on full-time. It turns out
Hmm.
she was awesome so she's probably going to add this. So Mina, you're awesome at this and Irish. So I want to have it both here. So
Yeah.
y'all are both awesome. I always tell you the bottleneck is me, right?
Yeah.
Of you know, how do you continuously how do you continuously, because the hard time for entrepreneurs is delegation, because it's hard to let stuff go
Yep.
as a solopreneur. And because even initially they can't do it as well as you, eventually they'll, now they're way better than me. I forgot how to do
Yeah.
some stuff.
Hey,
Yeah,
if they could do 80% as good as you, who cares, right? It's a
right,
20%.
right.
Forget it. Throw it out the window, because you could expand your business tenfold just by outsourcing that part of it, right? And one of the things you did bring up, so our team does help, just like you said, help create an operating agreement or operating SOP, standard
Yep,
operating procedures
yep.
for you and your business. So if you want and need to add on another virtual assistant, or if something happens, right, life gets in the way, you have that SOP for your business, and you just plug someone else in. They go through it. Now they're up and running very, very quickly.
Yeah, we meet like once a week, once every other week with my people, or like what they call spot meetings. I let, hey,
Yep.
jump do on it, let's pop on a Zoom, and then we'll think through stuff. And then like Fridays, like today we're recording on a Friday, I have about 2 hours scheduled on what I call on time, where I'm stepping
Yep.
out and I'm looking at, all right, what could we fix? Can we fix this funnel? I want to add a
Hmm.
quiz funnel, this funnel, or what are, service work that we can, let's create a campaign to call my existing clients, which
Hmm.
I'll have another one do, and or either drive them to a webinar because I really want to do one to many. I don't want to do a bunch of one-on-ones. So let's
Yep.
drive them to. So that's what I'm working on now, creating a what's a
Yep.
good campaign to drive them to, and then we'll email them. But then I want you to call them and invite them personally and send them a link to it so I
Yep.
can make sure it happens. And so that's the kind of stuff. Once you get it down, then is what can you delegate? So I'm throwing out stuff that I'm using because what I want y'all to hear is y'all can do this. It's not a it's a cost, but it's not a cost, it's an investment. And I
Hmm.
damn near doubled my business. I started with a 20-hour week person, and within 90 days, I was like, all right, yep,
Yep.
we're gonna go full time. Is she
Yep.
available full
I
time?
did the same thing as you. I did the same exact thing when I first started. Yep. So it's good.
So what let me ask this one question. So this is actually a topic, but I think we might have hit it, but it's like acquisitions, like how to outsource 90% of the heavy lifting.
Yep.
Did I missing? Is there anything to that we can speak to that you already haven't spoken of that maybe I didn't ask you that you want to clarify?
Yeah, so acquisition, that's client acquisition.
Okay.
So, and for me, I look at that as appointment setting and lead generation, right? Because we all need a full calendar to be able to sell individuals on a daily basis, right? To get into whatever we're offering, right? Whether
Right.
it's new clients, if you're a financial planner, we need clients, right? We all need clients. So
Right.
where are those clients going to come from? If let's say I'm your client, Curtis, right? What a VA could do is contact me to say, hey, your sphere of influence, could you give me 10 of your sphere of influence? So now what you're doing there is you're using me to build up your potential database, your potential client list, right? So that's another thing that one of your VAs could do. They could scrape LinkedIn, they could scrape, Facebook, they could scrape Google. There's a lot of different types of things that they could do and reference that to get more clients. And just using your existing clientele is just a great idea that you could use your VA for.
Oh my God, I hadn't even thought about that. So
Yep.
hold on, this is consulting for Curtis now. Just so y'all know. So we could look at my database. You're saying they could go to LinkedIn because they have my LinkedIn
Yep.
thing and see who they're connected to. Maybe ask them, "Do you actually know this person? Would
Yep.
you introduce us?" Maybe.
Yeah, Kurt, and get you could get authorization from me, and you could create a pre-done message, and they could go on Facebook or however Messenger. They could go on LinkedIn. They could become friends. They could acquaintances, and then you send them a message. Hey, Curtis wanted me to reach out. They said maybe we could do some work together, right? Something along those lines, and however you want to tailor it to your business or whatever. There's nothing better than a third party referral, right? If
Because
you
I
have
do
a
that offline already.
Yep,
Like, but
yep,
I hadn't really connected the dots to because I would you get these annoying things. People reach out to you, and then next thing you know, you get an email. They want to say something,
yep,
right? But I
yep,
wouldn't do that in the real world. I want to make it work like how I would do. I'd meet you. Give you introduction. I might see a little bit of, hey, Bob asked me to reach out to you. I showed him some really
yep.
cool things about money, and he thought that we should meet.
Perfect. Done. Yep. And you go from person to person to person to person to person. And it's not spamming, it's the personal connection. And they can manage that because when they respond back, they can manage it and then, set them up on a calendar for you. Or if you want to talk to them in person, they could send, hey, Curtis told you to give him a call, blah, blah, blah. Schedule one.
Wow. All right. Boom. That's the action item. I'm working that
Yeah.
in next week.
Well,
So what tell them uh anything and tell them anything else you want to tell them, but tell them how to find out more about what you're doing.
yep.
And I think it's brilliant. I'm so excited to talk to you and to share this because I think this is life changing for a solo entrepreneur that wants to scale
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. And so
Yeah.
I can follow along what you're doing. You have a podcast. Tell them about it.
Yeah, I actually have a podcast called Pucks to Properties, and that
Okay.
podcast it's geared towards we interview all ex players, whether they
Oh,
played in the
cool.
NHL or
Uh-huh.
they played college or they played minor leagues, etc. So what we do is we interview them and how they transitioned from the locker room to real estate or to business or and for us it's a way to and that's branding for us,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
once that's done, we cut it up. We use that for our real estate company to try to find more acquisition people or individuals that want to work directly with us. So that's what we do. And we have our virtual assistants just like you. I send them once I'm done. I send it to them. They cut it up and they send it all through social. They do, show notes, etc. So they do all of that for me to just to give someone else an idea of how to use VAs. But check us out on our website. It's Reva Global, REVA Global.com. And I know a lot of it shows just real estate, but we do everything from obviously financial planners. We have attorneys for clients. We have mortgage brokers. We have property managers. We have real estate. We have, like I said, marketing. We also have a medical
Medical.
side,
Yeah,
medical
medical.
division, where a lot of individuals hire us to do prior authorizations, insurance verifications, etc.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, folks, you can it's a lot of moving parts to business. So if you can and most of this stuff can be done by somebody that's better at it than you. And honestly, it's below your pay grade, you know.
Mhm.
And so it's repetitive. So once you get the system right, boom, that's another thing you don't have to worry about. And because one of the things I'm trying to do, Bob, is I want to be known for world-class service, right?
Mhm. Yep.
World-class follow-up, and because retention is a profit center. And so if you educate people, that orchestrates more referrals if you can stay in
Mhm.
touch and stay top of the mind. And I don't need to do that. I mean, what I do, our job is to create content and then they can
Yep.
push it out and it keeps you top of the mind. So
Correct.
hopefully as we hear this, Charlotte getting some great ideas, I actually will put the a link to Riva in the show notes.
Yeah.
I am full disclosure affiliate with him now, so you make sure you get it through my link. But as talking to you, man, I'm thinking about other stuff that
Yep.
that because I'm working with business owners really to scale and be more profitable. And
Mhm.
as we're talking about, I'm like, all right, I need to do this on purpose. I don't need them to
Yeah.
find out about it by accident. So,
And
yeah.
maybe one idea you can do too, Curtis, is different businesses. You could create, different outsourcing tasks for them that you can hand them to, right? You can hand it to them and give it to them to say, and that's one of the perks of obviously working with you is creating a plan, and one of them could be an outsource plan, right? And saying, hey, if you want income producing tasks and non-income producing tasks, you got to get rid of those non-income producing tasks so you can make more money in your business. That's just an idea I wanted to just throw out at you.
Oh my God. Yes. Thank you. I got that. Now my mind is racing. So, all right. So, listen, guys. I hope y'all should listen to this 2 or 3 times because Bob has dropped some gems, some actionable, tactical stuff that you need to do. So think about your business. Then go to the link that I'm going to give you, and then think about how to outsource your business. Let me tell you, it's the best money you'll ever spend because there's no better investment than in your business, right? You put $1 in, you make $2. That's 100% return. All right, you can't do that with a mutual fund. And so I want y'all to begin to look at your bit. Jay your hands, see your business as a little hedge fund. And so if you break it out into departments, and then you systematically every quarter or every month fix a different department, you
Mhm.
could 2x, 5x, 10x your growth in 12 to 24 months incrementally, right? And that's what I think this interview has taught you and give you the resources to do, I think, right? Um, Bob, thank you so much for giving you my free consulting because I didn't got like at least like a page of notes, like 5 ideas of what I'm not doing that could be doing. So I appreciate you, and hopefully y'all will reach out, and I think that y'all will get a like I said, it's the best money you ever spend. And Bob, thank you again for coming on the Practical Wealth Show. So excited. I'm a fanboy because y'all have made me a lot of money.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I know you're a busy man, and thank you, everyone. Obviously, whoever's listening to this, appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to Curtis and I. So,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Not as busy now because no, I'm still busy,
That's
but
right.
I'm giving other people. So as soon as we hang up, I won't look at this stuff again, right? It's like the donuts. I'm off to other stuff, but all behind the scenes, all this stuff is happening. Do you
Yeah.
want that in your life? All right, is the point. So guys, go out there, make it a prosperous day, and we will see you. And let's make 2000 as we record this 24 your best year ever.